Skeleton muscles are works like a switch on or switch off. We can send impulse and the muscles contract. We don't send impulses and muscles don't contract. It can do only 1 or 0, 1 or 0. And the question is how we can do gradual changing of it. And the gradual changing of it is muscular tonus. And the system that provides the changing of this muscular tonus is the neural grid that goes through the surface of all muscles and controlled on very deeper level of neural system of spinal cord, of the basement of the cerebral brain, and these lower systems control the initial state of muscle. I don't know how to say this in English. Muscle волокно, мышечное волокно, initial state of muscle before it contracts. It can change gradually as it does in smooth muscles. It can gradually change in them, but in skeletal muscles, no, it can only contract. But gradually changing can alterate the state of muscle before it contracts, and these alterations goes in real time, even before we start to contract. So muscular tonus is the thing that changes before we start move, and it also the matter of control, matter of adjustments, matter of goal, desires, and how it corrects itself, but on automatic level, without even conscious involved in it. What about conscious is higher levels of control, and only through that level we can feel. Because if we don't have spinal cord, we cannot feel our muscles, and we cannot feel how we move, because it works automatic without our involvement of the mind. I cannot control my muscle tonus with my I remember in one of your video you said about imagination and subtle sensation in the fingertips. You said the cleaning fingertips is the sensation that you cannot develop on demand or through thousands of
you
hours
cannot just
of practice.
ask, okay, just feel your fingertips.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
you cannot move it like you move your muscle. It's not just like move your leg or hand. This is something that goes automatic, but we cannot control it passively. You do something here, and you know that everything is connected to muscle tonus. Muscle tonus start to alterate the initial state of muscle, the initial state before it start to contract. And technically you do the same movement from one node to another, the same relaxed movement from one node to other, but the initial state of those relaxed muscle, because muscle can be relaxed but in one tonus, it can be relaxed in different tonus. This sensation goes from here, from spinal, from the lower brain, and this is the way we can control. If we don't feel ourselves, we cannot do any adjustments.
Exactly. When you engage sound imagination, it always felt like me when I play, I'm actually taking the sound from this aura somewhere here. It kind of appears, and almost like, that's why you were saying it feels like more ethereal, where playing with intonation arm weight feels more grounded and gives you free and a feeling also like a floating. But where here it's more like a subtle, more ethereal. It's really like around my finger, like you said, it's almost like in your skin or something like that.
So this is life, this is the deeper sensation, and this muscles that help to control the quality of that life, because they may do a little of resistance, a little of adjustments. This is like controlling of muscles antagonists. So this is the main muscle that do, but this is the level of control antagonist, and this is the tiny sensation of changing the tonus here helps to little change the quality of movement here. And I'm not lying. I saying it because I experienced it. I felt it.
So later in the book 3, we will actually learn how to express the energy of the character of music, the musical form, maybe even self-confidence, phrasing as well, those kind of big chunks of emotion, how to express through the same movements. And yes, to also validate what you just said, it would have been impossible to feel it through intonation and express it through the same motion if in the first place we didn't make that connection. So we need to create that initial connection from, like you said, spinal cord that actually influence the tonus of muscle, let us to control and express basically and create what we want, what we conceive here, express it through physical world. So when we've done that, studying book 1 and 2, then we're actually ready for expressing actual music in book 3. But if that connection wasn't established in the beginning, our desire to express musical immature character of music or our feelings will be only expressed in an unhealthy and toxic way of there's so much of me. This is where people say, oh, he has so much ego, I don't feel the music behind him. Or when it's there, people would say, oh, he expressed, the composer, he expressed the style, he let me feel, it was beautiful, talented boy. So another thing to mention here is, yes, again, when we were establishing in book 1 and 2 those movements and connection, we were making all those motions, all those movements in a very big way. And in one of my videos, I actually talk about why when I play or my students play in the very last stage of studying, they're not moving their hand at all. Everything feels that it's there or above or around, but not in motions. Well, it's obviously true for the fast tempos, but it also will be true for a very slow tempo music. Again, it's because by making this, we're almost exaggerating. Like, for example, when I ask to sing out loud, it's only to establish inner sensations. We're not singing out loud when we play. In fact, singing out loud when we play would distract us from direct expression of our energy. But we're singing out loud to imprint that sensations and our inner feelings. So the same with the movements. We're making these bigger movements to feel more prominent inner sensations. And at the end of the day, we're gonna play without moving our hand. But there is a big difference between not moving our hand and not moving our hand. The first one, well, I'm just trying to not make excessive movements because I was told by very great musicians that excessive movements will be only in the way of expressing myself. And eventually it brings to unhealthy tension and not being able to express yourself. Or you cannot see what I feel. And there's a difference. So we're not moving our hand too much, but all those motions are now inside maybe what you call this tissue of muscle, that tonus of muscle, the memory of the motion. But that memory let us feel like, we can sit still For example, when we meditate or when we contemplate about something, and we can go to the memories in the past of joy or sorrow, we experience all of them, we feel that motion inside our body, we feel that energy, but we're not moving. So that's a very maybe good analogy. So yes, in the book 3, eventually, when we start the piece or technique exercises, you will play like any other normal pianist who looked normal from the outside, but you will feel like a master inside, not like an amateur. So yeah, so basically, to summarize, in the book 1 and 2, we establish connection between here and there. So to use that channel to express later much greater emotions, musical image form, confidence on stage, phrasing. And we establish the big movement, so later again it will be just in the memory of our inner sensation, so we don't have to move our hands so much, but we will feel it, and we will feel the inner breathing again in the muscle, in our energy.
That means that playing piano is complicated task. Complicated, that means it has tasks in it, subtasks. And we need to master those subtasks, because without them we cannot do the whole thing. And that's why we need to isolately to watch this movement, isolately to sing, not to sing while we play, but to imprint this feeling of singing. But what is important on later stages is to train yourself to process all of those tasks at the same time.
First separately, and then so we could process at the same time. Can you reflect on that a little bit more?
Yes, we mastered separate tasks. We can proceed them isolatedly. And on next stage, we need to train.
And by saying separate task is
moving your hands, singing.
It's one singing that is happening here, and sound imagination which is happening there.
Imagination.
So we have 3 different parts in our body that are responsible for 3 different tasks that can be independent, even though they are interdependent.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And this interconnection between all those 3 tasks, we can feel if we train ourselves to initiate them at the same time. For me, it's like when we did with polyphonic ear, 2 origins of the sound. We can imagine one sound, we can imagine another sound, and then we train ourselves to reduce the time interval between them, until we can initiate 2 sounds together, differentiate them. I can say that I am one, but like it's thousands of me inside of me. It's like I can start to move from here, but simultaneously.
Or another analogy, when we were separating the sensation of wrist motion and elbow motion. Because sometimes we just substitute wrist motion with elbow, and without separating, we actually cannot control that sensation in the wrist.
Yes, this separation on the first step, like, okay, I can move this isolatedly, I can move this, and I can do this together. And this on the body level, but also we can combine body task and mind task. We can do separation in intonation from one note to other. This intonation is singing, okay, this other task. I concentrate on how I sing. But what if I concentrate on how I sing at the same time how I move, but together simultaneously? And this is the new image, because before you have never experienced that connection, but since once you had experienced it, you can grasp it as a one unit, and now you're moving and you're singing, and this is a one thing you do. And the next, and this is a technique. This is a technique from going from one note to another. But then we have other task of imagining sound timbre. You can experience that you still do this with weight, with resistance. You still do this. You still free. You can. Why you free? Because you separated it, and one is independent from other, and that's why it's free. Yeah.
So the whole. Well, we're finishing today the book 2, where basically we want to really master the technique of, while making all three things together, motion, intonation, sound imagination, we can still separate those tasks and change something in one layer, for example, an intonation, without changing sound imagination layer, which is the master, because usually otherwise you intonate accent, but you start changing your sound imagination from piano to forte, because you cannot control that layer independently from your singing layer where articulation resides, and eventually you're unable to play accents on piano. So you were kind of playing by changing one of the layers, changing motion but keeping intonation and sound imagination, or changing intonation but keeping motion and sound imagination, or changing sound imagination but keeping intonation and motion. And this is the exercise where basically you learn to play 2 or 3 notes with different dynamics and different articulations. So you were taking each articulation, let's say accent, and you were playing in different dynamics, right? You're playing staccato in all different dynamics. And this is the master where you can easily switch and control all 3 layers at the same time. We can go with that much more further, we can even talk about that. An inability to do that will lead to things like by changing phrasing, you're gonna change timing. By changing dynamics, you're gonna change timing. We all know that. You know, trying to play louder is speeding up without even understanding that. Changing musical image, your emotion from joy to sorrow will slow your pulse, or by bringing more feeling of inner pulse, you will lose phrasing. Vertical line would, interfere with horizontal line. So there is so much bad results from not being able to separate this task and control them, and changing something without changing it. Another layer. So this is your introduction to how to start juggling with all of this, yet imagining them at the same time, controlling them at the same time, but separating them in your mind.
And I will do in 6 types of articulations, started from legato, 2-note slur, then détaché, then staccato, tenuto, and accent. And each of type of articulation, I will change the dynamic. Firstly, I will play in piano, and the second I would play in forte. And I would like to play it in a row. piano.
Okay, all well done. We're gonna work at accents. Before that, can you just sing each of those intervals, each of those articulations out loud, just to check your intonation?
Two note slur. Détaché. Staccato. Tenuto. Accents.
Alright, so all your singing was correct. So let's just come back to playing accents. So when you were playing accents, as I said, singing is correct. It's weight and speed. That reminds us of barking. But when you were playing it, let's come back to playing it on piano afterwards. So let's start with easier part. Right now, just think about intonation, mute the sound imagination part. So we're gonna have just motion and intonation. And so when you play, what was missing is attacca in your hand. What I want is that, let's say, this. When you were doing, what was missing? You see, like my hand goes like this very fast because it's loose. When you were doing, it was more like, it was a bit, in Russian we would say вяло, but a bit too smooth, right? So it's this that was missing, so try again. Right, can you, that was much better. Also try as an experiment just to sing out loud together with playing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now keep the same sensation but without vocalizing the notes. Sing internally. So keeping the same sensation here, nothing is there. Let's try to unmute the sound imagination and try forte right now. So this is how it looks like if I play. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you add the sound imagination layer, the layer of intonation gets a little bit shy. So let's try again.
You can see this.
Yes.
Mm.
That was very good. I liked it. Now, switch the sound imagination layer volume down. Imagine piano. But keep the same attacca. Nothing changes in your intonation layer. The same attacca. So I'm gonna imagine piano. And forte. And piano. Kind of the same. But, you know, you see the difference between this and this. So just make sure that it's more loose, it's more attacca, it's not velo, it's really fast at the end. The speed at the very end was missing, basically. You can try to sing out loud while imagining piano. So, and check, is your speed and weight gonna be still there? So for example, let me just first sing legato with piano. I'm imagining piano. Okay, now with accent. So you see, or if, let me sing higher. All you do is just, instead of your hands, you're expressing with your voice, your sound imagination piano and your intonation accent.
Okay, I won't try again.
Good. So now express it with your hand.
I really feel the sensation like my hand started to become a little like...
It gets reserved, a bit repressed. Maybe if you try to, maybe in sound imagination, make sure that you make a long sound movement left and right. Sometimes that helps to kind of release tension in the wrist. Also, it could be due to the absence or not sufficient cleaning fingertips, because you still, especially on piano, and especially when you make such a big movement, you actually want to hold on to the keyboard. And of course, if I didn't have cleaning fingertips, and okay, I don't know, if I tried to play and whatever, I would try to kind of contract here to just make sure that I'm staying on the keyboard. Where with completely relaxed hand.
Control not here, maybe, not here, but somewhere here on the...
Yeah, again, it's yeah, I cannot say where exactly. It goes
nails, maybe nails,
yeah,
maybe nails.
Maybe,
okay.
Like, because we were saying that the sound imagination appears a little bit around the finger, more ethereal realm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's better.
But I still feel a little, I know, because my muscles not so trained, and especially when I played forte, I really feel like I am on the front of my muscle power here, so I'm really exercised.
Let's say now that you know your mistake, and to be honest, like I said, playing accents on piano is the highest level of mastery. I think you just need to practice it maybe for 1 more week and you'll get it.
Okay, piano staccato.
I'm sorry, can I just stop you right there? Do you see the difference between this and this? For this tempo, you were making a lot of wrist motion that you're not supposed to do. Everything becomes 2D, remember? Or in other words, you just need to play it with your fingers. If you were playing in slow tempo, then yes, this is present, but it has to be just a one line, complete 2D. And remember, in 2D, we're not coming back with our wrist, and that's what was present in your playing. Maybe try just a little bit slow down and just make sure you do everything only here, in the muscles of your fingers, not here. Yes, this is correct play of playing staccato, exactly. And you know, like a Russian again phrase, под ладошку, everything все под ладошку, under the palm, as the teacher is saying, everything you play under the palm.
I never thought of, I never told about like this.
Okay, well, I heard it so many times. Okay.
Троп любит говорить вот так, отскакивать. Вот это его.
Well, okay. But you can't really отскакивать with every note in fast tempo. I mean, unless you, I don't know, have a very special technique developed. But it's much easier this way, right? Отскакивай, but in your intonation. All right. So, okay, fine, that's correction. Let's go to forte now. Again, would you do anything on forte in middle tempo? Let's see. Not much again. It's again everything with one united wrist motion. That's good, right? Such a good exercise here. Ugh.
Yeah.
On fire. Real warm up. Let's try double 2 notes slow. What I didn't mention in the last video, but I think that's obvious, when we sing that ghost note, even in double notes, as a initial introduction to a new sensation of 2 notes slower. 2 notes. Why am I saying double slur? 2 notes slur. Eventually, like with everything else, we're just gonna leave and drop that ghost note and being able to just intonate as you sang, basically. You know, it's almost like you just got that sensation and you just copy and paste it without actually singing the ghost note.
Mm-hmm. Forte.
That's good. Détaché. Let's play. Okay, so now let's play 4 bars, both hands, piano détaché.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah. Okay, so we established that slow tempo is 1 note a second. Tum, tum. This is where you make then maybe moderate tempo is more like that, where you make more elliptical but then faster tempo. It feels like fast tempo that I meant is almost like a moderate for you. That's why I was saying in your moderate you should probably do already 2D. You know what I mean? Maybe I should be more precise on tempos in the book. So let's establish that your moderate is going to be a bit slower, where you will still make more elliptical rolls and swings. Yeah, this is moderate. Yeah. As soon as you go a little bit faster than that, just switch to 2D. One line with your wrist. So eventually we just want that, remember our hand is just a line, like a string group of instruments, so it's just one line, one brush stroke, but everything is here and in our fingers eventually. Faster than that, right? Show me tenuto. Good, show me forte. That's very good. Show me accent. Yeah, by the way, I know that I wrote 3 tempos, but for tenuto and accent, we don't usually make them in sequence in fast tempos, so it's usually maybe slow, maximum moderate tempo. Okay, accent. That's good. And forte. Yeah, all right. Okay, that's good. So it's good that we started with those staccato and détaché because that's the main correction there.